So to start with, let's completely review yesterday. Here's a scenario. You're raising cats. At time 0, you got 2 cats. At time 5, you got 8 cats. And my question would be, at time 20, how many cats would you have if it kept that up? Now, I gave you the equation, and I told you that we would give you this equation on the test, so don't worry about memorizing it, but know how to use it for sure. N of t is equal to n sub 0. This is the amount at time 0. It could be called a sub 0. This is the start. This is the end. Now, I want you to solve for k. You know all of these things. You know this, you know this, and you know this. You should be able to solve for k. Everybody solve for k, and then after that, you're going to check with the kid next to you. Don't go on to finish it until you've checked with the kid next to you on what did you get for k. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. And maybe you're going to need to get some help from that kid next to you if you don't remember how to put these numbers in and then solve for k. You will definitely need a log to do it. All right, so here it is again for those that were kind of just learning this. The start was 2 cats. E to the k times the time we took was 5 to get to an ending value of 8. And so this is 4 equals e to the k times 5, or I'm going to put a 5k. Then I'm going to say log base e of 4 equals 5k. And then I'm going to get the 5 off of there by putting a 1/5 in front. Okay. Now, would you please solve for how many cats would you have after 20 minutes, or 20 years? 20 years. Or 20 days, or whatever this was. I think it was, it doesn't matter. I've used the same units. And this time, do 20. Okay, so here's what you should have done for that part. Start with the equation again. I really recommend starting over. Just start over, except now you're smarter. Why are you smarter? Because you know what k is. And so now we put in, what was the starting value? It's the same starting value. Not 0, that was the time. Starting number of cats was 2 times e to the, oh, this time we know k. We don't know the ending number, so we say n of t equals. And now the k from up here can go right here. And now I have 1/5 log base e of 4. And then the time, which was 20. I made this one work nice. So you should be able to simplify this now. This is part of the test. I'm not going to tell you exactly how this shows up on the test, but you'll have something like this where you got to be able to simplify that. I know this is messy, so I'm going to write it out cleaner. You should be able to simplify this because you've got an e to the 20 times the 1/5 log base e of 4. And this can work out really nice. Know why? Because 20 times 1/5 works out really nice. And that can become a power. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. Let me give this a shot. Okay, compare with the kid next to you and see if you figured it out. So here would be my explanation. This part, 20 divided by the 5 gives you the 4. And then that 4 can go up as a power on this 4. And then Bases are the same. That's why I say don't write it as ln, write it as log base e, because you can see that they both have a base of e. And this part right here is its own little, unit, and I can get it all figured out. And I do figure it out, and it's 4 to the 4th. So it's 2 times 4 to the 4th. Because this whole thing here can simplify down to just 4 to the 4th. And I don't expect you to know what 4 to the 4th is in your head. It's a huge number. Then you times it by 2. That's a whole lot of cats. But that's the answer. Raise your hand if you got the same answer as I did. Okay, awesome. All right, now we're going to do one more like that, but a lot faster, okay, because you should be better at this now. If I don't get you through this, I can't get you through the next thing. All right, so this time it's going to be a half-life question. And this time I'll give you the numbers, but you should be able to figure them out. So at time 0, we have an amount of 2 grams. Okay, if my amount is this is a half-life question, and they say that 10 days later you'd have a half-life, then you should know how much the amount is. They won't tell you. You have to figure it out. If 10 days is the half-life, then what should go here? You had 2. So now what are you going to have? Say it. 1. See how they didn't have to tell you that? You can figure that out. All right. Now the question becomes, how much is left at 30 days? Hint, do it the same exact way as we just did it. I'll give you the formula because I said we would on the test. This time I'm using A. A of t would be A sub 0 times, who can finish the formula? You got it probably by now. And the rest of the formula would be, say it. E to the k t. Good. Go ahead and use that formula. Figure out the answer. You know what? I'm going to tweak it just a little bit because this will work out a lot cooler. I'm going to make it 40. Time 40 at the end. That doesn't change the beginning of the problem. You still figure out k. So my starting amount was 2, e to the k, and my time in the first interval here was 10. The ending amount I got was 1. I divide both sides by 2. 1/2 equals e to the power of 10k. Log base e of 1/2 is equal to 10k. Put a 1/10 in front of it because I'm timesing both sides by 1/10. And 1/10 log base e of 1/2. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. Now, let's take that k, stick it in the formula, and figure out how much amount you should have left at time 40. Raise your hand if you're already done. I don't want to hold you up too much. Okay, that's less than half the class, so I'll give you some more time. Always rewrite the formula out for the second part of the problem. Except now you're smarter. You know what k is. Now, did anybody else catch that just works out to 4, which can then be put up as a power on the 1/2? So now I got 2e to the log base e of 1/2 to the 4th. And if you're good at simplifying these, then you got a of t, and all of this simplifies down to 1/2 to the 4th. Now I could totally see somebody getting this wrong because of forgetting those parentheses. You can't take the 2 times the half and then put it to the 4th. That's against the order of operations. So you got to do the 1/2 to the 4th first. So your amount would be 1/2 to the 4th is like 1 to the 4th over 2 to the 4th. So it's 1 over 16. So it's 2 times 1 over 16. And what does that simplify to? Who had 1/8 before I even got there? Okay. If you didn't, try to figure out where you messed up in that process. And we'll do one more like it. I'm curious how many of you got this, the 1/10 log base e of 1/2. Okay, good. That's most of it. Look then where I put that in here and I times it by t. Our time was 40. All right. So now we're going to do one more like that. 4,000 moose in Minnesota. Okay. We're going to do a half-life thing on the moose. Let's say that right now there's 4,000, but we've calculated out that you're going to have half as many moose in 10 years. That means their half-life is 10 years. Not that a moose lives to 10 years. No. The whole population of the moose will have in 10 years. Then you should be able to tell me how many moose there are in 40 years. Notice, I didn't tell you these numbers, but you can figure them out. Because the half-life will be after 10 years. You have data in that empty spot that I circled. I just didn't give it to you. You have to think for a second to figure out what the time and the number of moose would be in there. All right, I'm going to pause for a second. Act like this is a test. Act like the kid next to you is your partner on the test. I'd like you to work together through this problem with them. Don't just try to figure it out and then compare it to them. A lot of people are lost. Work together with them, please. Okay, just a little hint thrown in if you haven't already figured this out. After time 10 years, there'll be 2,000 moose. That should allow you to make your equation. A of t equals a sub 0, e to the kt. And you stick in your numbers. The start was 4,000 moose times e to the k, we don't know, and the time would be 10. After 10 years, we will have 2,000. Now I divide both sides by 4,000, and I get 1/2. And if it's a half-life question, expect you'll get a half right there. Right? When you divide 4,000 underneath the 2,000, that makes sense. It's a half-life question. Equals e to the k times 10 log base e of 1/2 equals 10k. Multiply by 1/10 in the front, and there you go. Raise your hand if you had 1/10 log base e of 1/2. Awesome. Now, most of you failed in this next part, so try to figure this out. Start with rewriting the formula again. That's a really key step. Now you have different info to stick in. We still know the starting amount. It's still 4,000 moose to start with. But now we know K, and it's a different T. Those three things I circled in blue, you know. And then the toughest part is, can you simplify it? Okay, don't want to bore you. So how many of you guys are done already? All right, and that is most of you. So I'm going to start here, and if you're not done, you're just kind of in a race with me. All right, so the amount was 4,000 to start with. E to the K comes from here. So that goes right here, 1/10 log base E of 1/2. Then I have the time, and I just choose to put the time in front of it. The time is 40. 40 divided by the 10 is 4 again. So I have 4,000 E to the 4 log base E of 1/2. Now this might be where some of you messed up. That 4 goes up here. And then I realized that this and this are the same, and so the answer to that is the exponent right there. So now it's 4,000 times 1/2 to the 4th. Since we used very similar numbers to last time, this is again 1/16. So this is 1/16. And so somebody must have by now had time to figure out what 4,000 divided by 16 is. Or times 1/16. What'd you get? 250. Awesome. There you go. Either you would have had 4,000 times the 1/16, or you'd have had 250. And of course, you should be able to divide even numbers like that. It's not too hard. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, awesome. I have one last thing to teach you. This is the last melon. Then we'll just practice stuff tomorrow, and then the test is the next day. All right, so it's half-life again, except a different way. I start with 10. After 3 days, it's its half-life. So then what goes here? 5. Okay, now, if I use a normal equation for exponential growth, I start with the starting amount, and I can put a 1/2 here for the half-life, and then I put it to the time. Oh boy, I'll have to explain this to you tomorrow. All right, do some practice problems. It's your grade on Friday. Strongly recommend doing some homework and checking it. Have a great day.